Did you know in the books, Tywin Lannister is described as having a bald head with a fringe of hair around his ears, while show Tywin is not entirely bald and has no whiskers. In the books, Tywin is depicted as being 55 years old, whereas in the show, Charles Dance feels at least 10 years older than that. In the books, it becomes clear by the end that the reason why Tywin Lannister despised Tyrion so much was because the two are more alike than either of them would like to admit. Whereas Jaime is everything Tywin could want in an heir, but the eldest Lannister son doesn't want it, and prefers to remain a Kingsguard knight, whereas Tyrion and Cersei share Tywin's desire for power and control, but he doesn't like them. The people of King's Landing also hate Tywin and blame him for the sack of King's Landing after Aerys opened the gates to him. The Battle of Oxcross takes place entirely off-screen, but in the books, Lord Tywin Lannister had tasked his cousin, Sir Stafford Lannister, with training a new Lannister army at Castle Rock. Robb's host invades the Westerlands through a previously unknown goat track found by his direwolf, Greywind. Thinking himself safe in his own lands, Stafford does not bother to set sentries. During the night, Robb sends men to cut the lines that hold Stafford's horses. When Robb sets loose Greywind, the horses are maddened by the scent and trample tents and men alike while trying to flee. With confusion sending Lannister men fleeing everywhere, Robb sends in his own cavalry. The battle is more a rout than a real encounter, as the untrained and surprised Lannister army fail to put up much resistance. The Lannister army's defeat is so great that the Westerlands are greatly weakened. In the books, Joanna Lannister, Tyrion, Jaime, and Cersei's mother married Tywin even though they were first cousins. On their wedding day, Tywin was seen smiling, which was a first. At the wedding feast, Aerys drunkenly japed about how it was a pity the first night tradition was banned, and took unwanted liberties with Joanna in the bedding ritual when the men at the feast had to disrobe the bride. Not long thereafter, Joanna was dismissed by Queen Rhaella Targaryen from her service in King's Landing. While Rhaella turned a blind eye towards most of her husband's infidelities, she did not approve when it concerned one of her own ladies. Joanna departed at once. Her marriage to Tywin was a happy one, and she became Tywin's trusted counselor and companion. Her influence on her husband was such that people say that Tywin ruled the Seven Kingdoms as Hand, but was ruled at home by his lady wife. Tywin probably got one of the women at Chataya's brothel pregnant. The evidence for this comes from the secret entrance to her brothel, which Varys says was built because the tunnel was dug for another King's Hand, whose honor would not allow him to enter such a house openly. The evidence for it being Tywin is how recently it was built and the hidden Lannister colors used. Old Shift X talks about it in his The Real Tyrion Lannister video. Anyway, the most obvious candidate to be Tywin's daughter is Marie, a girl with green eyes like Tywin. She has porcelain skin, long straight silvery hair, but is very serious, kind of like Tywin. The less likely candidate is Aelia, who was Chataya's 16-year-old daughter, who was less tall than her mother and was maybe conceived just before Tywin left King's Landing in 281 AC and was born in 282 AC. Tywin's evil and ruthless nature came about because of his father. Tytos Lannister was a weak-willed, eager to please, and quick to forgive ruler who was often called the Laughing Lion. He saw the good in everyone, and this trust blinded him to all threats to House Lannister. Tytos was a fat man, loaned money to lords who never bothered to repay him, and his bannermen openly ignored his orders. Guests at his court were allowed to mock him to his face, and Tywin bristled at his father's humiliations. After the death of his wife, Tytos took a mistress, a common-born daughter of a candlemaker. She helped herself to Tywin's mum's jewels and clothes. This infuriated Tywin, and one day he took his anger out on her after Tytos died, by making her walk the streets of Lannisport naked like Cersei had to do in Season 5 of the show. Did Tywin know about the plot to kill Joffrey? There is quite a bit of evidence to suggest that Tywin would let it happen, since either way he wins. Either the assassins within the Lannister inner circle fail and get caught, so Tywin knows who they are, or if they succeed, Tywin no longer has to deal with an unstable Aerys III, which is how Tywin described Joffrey. Now, if Tywin suspected he knew who was behind the assassination, but didn't have the evidence to prove it, then going along with Cersei's insane accusation of Tyrion makes sense. Since after Tyrion is found guilty, Tywin can start investigating the real culprits while their guards are down. Since Tywin has been willing to sacrifice Tyrion in the past, like he did at the Battle of the Green Fork where he put Tyrion in the most dangerous place, and Tyrion knows he expected him to die. In the books, Tywin schooled Joffrey, but even he realized there was no hope. When Cersei defends Joffrey after Tyrion calls him a monster, Tywin says, "Be quiet, Cersei. Joffrey, when your enemies defy you, you must serve them steel and fire. When they go to their knees, however, you must help them back to their feet. Elsewise, no man will ever bend the knee to you. And any man who must say, 'I am the king,' is no true king at all." Aerys never understood that. "But you will, when I've won your war for you." The boy surprised them all. Instead of scuttling safely back under his rock, Joff drew himself up defiantly and said, "You talk about Aerys, grandfather, but you were scared of him." Oh my, hasn't this got interesting, Tyrion thought. Lord Tywin studied his grandchild in silence, and even Cersei knows Joffrey has messed up and pleads for him to apologize to his grandfather. In the books, this is what Tywin thought of Stannis when talking to Tyrion. "I have felt from the beginning that Stannis was a greater danger than all the others combined." And even after defeating Stannis at the Blackwater, Tywin remains adamant that Stannis is the real threat to House Lannister. This is Stannis Baratheon. The man will fight to the bitter end and then some. Moreover, this is what Ned Stark thought of Stannis Baratheon in King's Landing, wondering why the king's brother fled to his seat on Dragonstone. Ned found it hard to imagine what could frighten Stannis Baratheon, who had once held Storm's End through a year of siege, surviving on rats and boot leather while the Lords Tyrell and Redwyne sat outside with their hosts, banqueting in sight of his walls. And Varys describes Stannis as, "He is utterly without mercy. There is no creature on earth half so terrifying as a truly just man." Tywin completely forgot about Tyrion's first wife that he had his guards. Tyrion reminds him, "Tysha." He does not even remember her name. "The girl I married." "Oh yes, your first whore." Tyrion took aim at his father's chest. "The next time you say that word, I'll kill you. You do not have the courage. Shall we find out?" It's a short word, and it seems to come so easily to your lips. Tyrion gestured impatiently with the bow. "Tysha, what did you do with her after my little lesson? I don't recall." "Try harder. Did you have her killed?" His father pursed his lips. "There was no reason for that. She'd learned her place and had been paid well for her day's work, I seem to recall. I suppose the steward sent her on her way. I never thought to inquire. On her way where? Wherever whores go." Tyrion's finger clenched. Cersei was completely delusional and thought after Tywin died, she would be the one to replace him, and that all of Westeros will fear and respect her the same way they did him, without realizing she has no idea how to do what he did. She thinks to herself, "Lord Tywin's eyes are closed forever now. It is my look they will flinch from now, my frown that they must fear. I am a lion too." It was gloomy within the sept with the sky so grey outside. If the rain ever stopped, the sun would slant down through the hanging crystals to drape the corpse in rainbows. The Lord of Castle Rock deserved rainbows. He had been a great man. I shall be greater though. 1,000 years from now, when the maesters write about this time, you shall be remembered only as Queen Cersei's sire. She actually thought that she would be the remembered one, not him. There was a moment when Jaime became a second Tywin while besieging Riverrun with Edmure Tully. Let them hear, Jaime thought. Let the world hear. It makes no matter. He forced himself to smile. You've seen our numbers, Edmure. You've seen the ladders, the towers, the trebuchets, the rams. If I speak the command, my cuz will bridge your moat and break your gate. Hundreds will die, most of them your own. Your former bannermen will make up the first wave of attackers. So you'll start your day by killing the fathers and brothers of men who died for you at the Twins. The second wave will be Freys. I have no lack of those. My Westermen will follow when your archers are short of arrows and your knights so weary they can hardly lift their blades. When the castle falls, all those inside will be put to the sword. By the time I'm done, no man will ever know that a castle once stood here. In the books, after many slights from the Mad King, Lord Tywin ignored calls to arms from Mad King Aerys II Targaryen, but also didn't answer Robert's call to war. Tywin took no side until after the Battle of the Trident, in which Robert Baratheon slew Rhaegar. After this, Tywin rode from Castle Rock to the capital of King's Landing. After Aerys was convinced by Pycelle that Tywin had come to aid him, the king ordered the gates of the city opened for Tywin. His Westermen proceeded to sack the city. However, Aerys was killed by Sir Jaime Lannister before Tywin's forces arrived at the Red Keep. But Gregor Clegane and Amory Lorch, knights sworn to Tywin and under his orders, slew Rhaegar's wife, Elia Martell, and her two younger children, Rhaenys and Aegon. Tywin wrapped the bodies in crimson Lannister cloaks to better conceal the blood and presented them to Robert as a token of fealty. In the books, Tywin sacked King's Landing after betraying King Aerys, but in all honesty, this made absolutely no sense, and here's why. Firstly, Tywin and his forces had been let into the city, so it wasn't a case that he had to force himself in. Pycelle had already tricked Aerys into letting Tywin in. Next, by sacking the city, Tywin risked Aerys killing Jaime in retribution after realizing that Tywin wasn't there to help him. Instead, Tywin should have demanded an audience with the king and maybe let it be known that unless Aerys made him Hand of the King, Tywin and his forces would leave, so Aerys wouldn't touch Jaime and think Tywin's motives are just that. Then, once in audience with Aerys and his men, Tywin could have betrayed him and quickly overwhelmed Aerys' Red Keep guards and Kingsguard with explicit orders no one hurts Jaime. So why did Tywin devastate the capital? It's so petty and stupid, and making everyone hate House Lannister afterwards. In the books, Tywin tried to make Janos Slynt Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Tyrion tells his father, Lord Janos is a hollow suit of armor who will sell himself to the highest bidder. I count that a point in his favor. Who is like to bid higher than us? Tyrion liked that notion not at all. The Black brothers choose their own commander, he reminded them. Lord Slynt is new to the Wall. I sent him there. Why should they pick him over a dozen more senior men? Because, his father said, in a tone that suggested Tyrion was quite the simpleton, if they do not vote as they are told, their wall will melt before it sees another man. Yes, that would work, Tyrion thought. Tywin requests Pycelle send a raven, and Tyrion thinks to himself, I should have trimmed his head, not his beard, and Slynt should have gone for a swim rather than been sent to the Wall. In the books, this is how Tywin told Tyrion to rule King's Landing when asked to go there. And what am I to do there? Asked Tyrion. Rule, his father said curtly. Tyrion hooted with laughter. My sweet sister might have a word or two to say about that. Let her say what she likes. Her son needs to be taken in hand before he ruins us all. I blame those jackanapes on the council, our friend Peter, the vulnerable Grand Maester, and that cockless wonder Lord Varys. What sort of counsel are they giving Joffrey when he lurches from one folly to the next? Whose notion was it to make this Janos Slynt a lord? The man's father was a butcher, and they grant him Harrenhal. That was the seat of kings. Not that he will ever set foot inside it, if I have a say. I am told he took a bloody spear for his sigil. A bloody cleaver would have been my choice. In Game of Thrones Season 4, Tywin Lannister drops a line that seems out of character. During the small council meeting, he says, Dragons haven't won a war in 300 years. Armies win them all the time. While it's true, dragons won Aegon his crown 300 years ago, Tywin's statement misses a crucial point. When dragons did exist, they won nearly every war. For example, Maegor crushed the Faith Militant using his dragon. Jaehaerys destroyed the Dornish, and the Dance of the Dragon was decided by dragons. The scene between Jaime and Tywin, where Tywin is skinning the stag in Season 1, is not in the books. In fact, Jaime doesn't have a point of view chapter until the 3rd book. Additionally, Tywin's motivations are made clear in this scene regarding the Lannister legacy, but it's much murkier in the books, where he wants to foster Sweet Robin, has an interest in Harrenhal, and has already hired 2 sellsword companies, which seems like he was preparing for war. In the books, what if Jaime and Cersei Lannister were actually the Mad King's bastards? It's well known that Aerys and Tywin didn't like each other or see eye to eye, and it wouldn't surprise anyone if the Mad King slept with Joanna Lannister to get at Tywin. In such a scenario, it would also show pure irony, as Tywin would end up hating Tyrion, his trueborn heir, while loving and embracing Jaime and Cersei, who would have been bastards of someone he despised. In the books, why did Tywin Lannister never remarry? Everyone claims that Tywin loved his first wife, which it seems he did, but he also visited brothels while married to Joanna, and we know this because of the secret tunnel Varys tells Tyrion about. But maybe the reason he never remarried was because if he remarried and had another dwarf son, everyone would know it was his genes that made Tyrion, and he's the problem. In the books, is Tywin Lannister the biggest hypocrite in Game of Thrones? He told Tyrion, "When soldiers lack discipline, the fault lies with their Lord Commander," but takes no responsibility for Gregor Clegane's actions in killing Elia Martell and her kids. He also gives Tyrion grief over hanging out with but he did the same and slept repeatedly with Shae while knowing she slept with his son. He also gives Cersei a hard time about being unmarried too long after Robert's death, yet he refused to marry after his own wife died. In the books, Varys shows Tyrion Lannister the hidden tunnels that led up to the Hand's Tower, and notably tells him about how a previous Hand used them to visit brothels secretly. Initially, we're left to wonder who this Hand was, but after certain events, it appears more clear. This Hand was more than likely Tywin Lannister, as we learn he does like to sleep with as shown by Shae being on his bed. Tywin Lannister was actually against Janos Slynt becoming Lord of Harrenhal. During his War Council meeting with Tyrion, Tywin says, "Whose notion was it to make this Janos Slynt a lord? The man's father was a butcher, and they grant him Harrenhal. That was the seat of kings. Not that he will ever set foot inside it if I have a say. I am told he took a bloody spear for his sigil. A bloody cleaver would have been my choice." There's an interesting detail showing just how much influence Tywin Lannister's name had. It was when Tyrion Lannister recovered enough from his injuries from the Battle of Blackwater to go meet with his father. Maegor's Holdfast was the strongest place in the Red Keep, a castle within the castle, surrounded by a deep dry moat lined with spikes. The drawbridge was up for the night when they reached the door, so Meryn Trant stood before it in his pale armor and white cloak. "Lower the bridge," Tyrion commanded him. The Queen's orders are to raise the bridge at night, so Meryn had always been Cersei's creature. "The Queen's asleep, and I have business with my father." There was magic in the name of Lord Tywin Lannister. Grumbling, so Meryn Trant gave the command, and the drawbridge was lowered. Only Tywin's name can spark fear in any man in King's Landing. Tywin Lannister's plan to free Tyrion was ruined by Jaime when he attacked Ned Stark. Only 6 Winterfell men remained of the 20 her father had sent west with Beric Dondarrion, Harwin told her, and they were scattered. "It was a trap, milady. Lord Tywin sent his mountain across the Red Fork with fire and sword, hoping to draw your lord father. He planned for Lord Eddard to come west himself to deal with Gregor Clegane. If he had, he would have been killed, or taken prisoner and traded for the Yimp, who was your lady mother's captive at the time. Only the Kingslayer never knew Lord Tywin's plan, and when he heard about his brother's capture, he attacked your father in the streets of King's Landing." "I remember," said Arya. "He killed Jory," Harwin agreed, "and your father's leg was broken when his horse fell on him, so Lord Eddard couldn't go west." Tywin used castles and lands of traitors to secure alliances. "The fruits of victory await division," said Tywin. "What could be sweeter," said Littlefinger, who had already swallowed his own fruit, Harrenhal. Each lord had his own demands, this castle and that village, tracts of lands, a small river, a forest, the wardship of certain miners left fatherless by the battle. Fortunately, these fruits were plentiful, and there were orphans and castles for all. Varys had lists. 47 lesser lordlings and 619 knights had lost their lives beneath the fiery heart of Stannis and his Lord of Light, along with several thousand common men at arms. Traitors all. Their heirs were disinherited, their lands and castles granted to those who had proved more loyal. Tywin would rather send a message than support the Night's Watch. Some of the gold cloaks who deserted during the battle have drifted back to the barracks, thinking to take up duty once again. So Adam wishes to know what to do with them, said Kevan Lannister. They might have endangered Joff with their cowardice, Cersei said at once. I want them put to death. Varys sighed. They have surely earned death, Your Grace. None can deny it. And yet, perhaps we might be wiser to send them to the Night's Watch. We have had disturbing messages from the Wall of late, of wildlings astir. Wildlings, krakens and dragons, Mace Tyrell chuckled. Why, is there anyone not stirring? Lord Tywin ignored that. The deserters serve us best as a lesson. Break their knees with hammers, they will not run again, nor will any man who sees them begging in the streets. He glanced down the table to see if any of the other lords disagreed. Tywin wants the wildlings to invade the north so the Starks and Greyjoys have even more enemies. Tyrion remembered his own visit to the Wall, and the crabs he'd shared with old Lord Mormont and his officers. He remembered the old bear's fears as well. Perhaps we might break the knees of a few to make our point. Those who killed Sir Jacelyn, say. The rest we can send to Marsh. The Watch is grievously under strength. If the Wall should fail, the wildlings will flood the north, his father finished, and the Starks and Greyjoys will have another enemy to contend with. They no longer wish to be the subject to the Iron Throne, it would seem, so by what right do they look to the Iron Throne for aid? King Robb and King Balon both claim the north. Let them defend it, if they can. And if not, this Mance Rayder might even prove as a useful ally. Tywin would marry Cersei off to try and stop the rumors about her and Jaime. Your Grace, said Kevan courteously, you are a young woman, still fair and fertile, and a new marriage would put to rest this talk of incest for good and all. So long as you remain unwed, you allow Stannis to spread his disgusting slander, Lord Tywin told his daughter. You must have a new husband in your bed, to father children on you. 3 children is quite sufficient. I am Queen of the 7 Kingdoms, not a brood mare, the Queen Regent. You are my daughter, and you will do as I command. She stood. I will not sit here and listen to this. You will if you wish to have any voice in the choice of your next husband, Lord Tywin said calmly. You will marry, and you will breed. Every child you birth makes Stannis more of a liar. Tywin would use anyone, including his children, to win the war. Cersei looked at their uncle in disbelief. Sansa is my hostage. She goes nowhere without my leave. Leave you must perforce grant should Lord Tyrell ask, their father pointed out. To refuse him would be tantamount to declaring that we do not trust him. He would take offense. Let him, what do we care? Bloody fool, thought Tyrion. Sweet sister, he explained patiently. Offend Tyrell and you offend Redwyn, Tarly, Rowan, and Hightower as well, and perhaps start them wondering whether Robb Stark might not be more accommodating to their desires. I will not have the Rose and the Direwolf in bed together, declared Lord Tywin. We must forestall him. How? Asked Cersei. By marriage. Yours to begin with. It came so suddenly that Cersei could only stare for a moment. Then her cheeks reddened as if she had been slapped. No, not again. I will not. Tywin was able to scare a defiant lord by simply sending him an envoy with a lute. Jean Westerling is her mother's daughter, said Lord Tywin, and Robb Stark is his father's son. This Westerling betrayal did not seem to have enraged his father as much as Tyrion would have expected. Lord Tywin did not suffer disloyalty in his vassals. He had extinguished the proud reigns of Castamere and the ancient Tarbecks of Tarbeck Holroot and Branch when he was still half a boy. The singers had even made a rather gloomy song of it. Some years later, when Lord Farman of Faircastle grew truculent, Lord Tywin sent an envoy bearing a lute instead of a letter. But once he'd heard the rains of Castamere echoing through his hall, Lord Farman gave no further trouble. And if the song were not enough, the shattered castles of the Rains and Tarbecks still stood as mute testimony to the fate that awaited those who chose to scorn the power of Castle Rock. Charles Dance, who played the fearsome Tywin Lannister on A Game of Thrones, didn't know his character would die until a fan spoiled it. A stranger told him he had a great death scene, prompting Dance to grab the book at Waterstones and discover Tywin's fate. Shot on the toilet by his son. "Ah, on the Kazi," he said, using British slang for toilet. A fitting end. It's oddly amusing that such a commanding character met his end so undignified, and that Dance found out from a random passerby. The Lannisters planned Joffrey's wedding to be one of the most extravagant events in Westeros, even while the city was in ruins. Lord Tywin dismissed Robert's old hunting knife with a wave. "What did you find at the riverfront?" "Mud," said Tyrion, "and a few dead things no one's bothered to bury. 3/4 of the quays need repair. The entire fish market is gone. I shudder to think of the cost." "You will find whatever gold is required." "Will I? Where? The treasury is empty. We're not done paying the alchemists for wildfire, or the smiths for my chain. And Cersei's pledged the crown to pay half the cost of Joff's wedding. 77 bloody courses, 1,000 guests, a pie full of doves, singers, jugglers." Tywin was unmoved. "We must demonstrate the power and wealth of Castle Rock. I will have the wedding and the waterfront." Tywin Lannister plotted to use the Night's Watch as political pawns, installing Janos Slynt as their commander. Tyrion protested. "Lord Janos is a hollow suit of armor who will sell himself to the highest bidder." Tywin didn't flinch. "I count that as a point in his favor. Who was like to bid higher than us?" Turning to Pycelle, he dictated the message. "Write that King Joffrey was deeply saddened to hear of Lord Commander Mormont's death, but regrets that he can spare no men just now, while so many rebels and usurpers remain in the field. Suggest that matters might be quite different once the throne is secure, provided the king has full confidence in the leadership of the Watch. In closing, ask Marsh to pass along his Grace's fondest regards to his faithful friend and servant, Lord Janos Slynt." Pycelle bowed. "I shall write as the hand commands, with great pleasure." House Lannister once had no Valyrian steel sword, despite being the richest family in Westeros. Tywin Lannister changed that on the eve of Joffrey's wedding. As Tyrion entered his father's solar, he overheard, "Cherrywood for the scabbards, bound in red leather and ornamented with a row of lion's head studs in pure gold, perhaps with garnets for the eyes." "Rubies," Lord Tywin said. "Garnets lack the fire." Tywin revealed a longsword shimmering black and red, a wedding gift for Joffrey. A king should bear a kingly weapon. It was Valyrian steel, rare and priceless, folded thousands of times with ripples of night and blood. There wasn't just one sword. The armorer unfolded the cloth to reveal a second, heavier, longer, and meant for Jaime. Tyrion joked, "So, a sword for Joff, a sword for Jaime, and not even a dagger for the dwarf." Tywin Lannister wanted Janos Slynt to become Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Pycelle produced the letter with trembling hands. "Here is his letter, my lord. A plea to all 5 kings. He wants men, as many men as we can send him." Tywin scoffed. 5 kings. There is 1 king in Westeros. Those fools in black might try and remember that if they wish his grace to heed them. When you reply, tell him that Renly is dead and the others are traitors and pretenders." Pycelle nodded. "What shall I tell Marsh concerning the men he begs for?" Tywin dismissed the idea of sending help, but saw opportunity. If Mormont is indeed dead, the Black brothers must choose a new Lord Commander. Pycelle gave Tyrion a sly glance. "An excellent thought, my lord. I know the very man, Janos Slynt." Tyrion bristled. "The Black brothers choose their own commander," he reminded them. In the books, Cersei Lannister revealed that nobody in King's Landing had any love for Tywin Lannister. This was after her son, Tommen, noted how there were empty streets following Tywin's death. Tommen peered through the drapes at the empty streets.
I thought there would be more people. When father died, all the people came out to watch us go by. The rain has driven them inside. King's Landing had never loved Lord Tywin. He never wanted love though. You cannot eat love, nor buy a horse with it, nor warm your halls on a cold night. She heard him tell Jaime once when her brother had been no older than Tommen. In the books, during Tywin Lannister's wake, Cersei was only thinking about surpassing him and creating her own legacy. Lord Tywin's eyes are closed forever now, Cersei thought. It is my look they will flinch from now, my frown that they must fear. I am a lion too. The Lord of Castle Rock deserved rainbows. He had been a great man. I shall be greater though. 1,000 years from now, when the maesters write about this time, you shall be remembered only as Queen Cersei's sire. In the books, Jaime Lannister blames himself for his father's dying. Allow me to stand tonight in your stead, Sir Loras offered. He was not your father. You did not kill him. I did. Tyrion may have loosed the crossbow bolt that slew him, but I loosed Tyrion. Leave me. My hand is hungry for a sword. I need to kill someone. Varys for a start. But first, I need to find the rock he's hiding under. I commanded the eunuch to take him to a ship, not to a bedchamber, he told the corpse. The blood is on his hands as much as Tyrion's. The blood is on his hands as much as mine, he meant to say. But the words stuck in his throat. Whatever Varys did, I made him do. How did Arianne Martell react to Tywin Lannister's death in the books? It came as a pleasant surprise given that Arianne was looking to crown Myrcella Baratheon as the new Queen of Westeros. There are other tidings you should hear. Tywin Lannister is dead, Aerys Oakard said. That was a shock. Dead. Murdered by the imp. The Queen has assumed the regency. Has she? A woman on the Iron Throne. Arianne thought about that for a moment and decided it was all too good. If the lords of the Seven Kingdoms grew accustomed to Queen Cersei's rule, it would be that much easier for them to bend their knee to Queen Myrcella. And Lord Tywin had been a dangerous foe. Without him, Dorne's enemies would be much weaker. Lannisters are always killing Lannisters. How sweet. In the books, this is how Tywin recounted the events of the Red Wedding. Tyrion asks, was it a soft silk pillow that slew Robb Stark? It was to be an arrow at Edmure Tully's wedding feast. The boy was too wary in the field. He kept his men in good order and surrounded himself with outriders and bodyguards. So Lord Walder slew him under his own roof at his own table. Tyrion made a fist. What of Lady Catelyn? Slain as well, I'd say, a pair of wolf skins. Frey had intended to keep her captive, but perhaps something went awry. So much for guest right. The blood is on Walder Frey's hands, not mine. Walder Frey is a peevish old man who lives to fondle his young wife and brood over all the slights he's suffered. I have no doubt he hatched this ugly chicken, but he would never have dared such a thing without a promise of protection. Tywin was sent to King Egg's court where Duncan the Tall was Lord Commander. After a 10-year-old Tywin terrified Walder Frey, Tytos sent Tywin to King's Landing to serve as a royal page and cupbearer at King Aegon V Targaryen's court, where Tywin befriended the young Prince Aerys Targaryen and Stefan Baratheon, who was King Robert, Stannis, and Renly's father. Also, Tywin's cousin and future wife, Joanna Lannister, also served at the royal court as a companion and lady-in-waiting to Princess Rhaella Targaryen since 259 AC. Tywin spent about 7 years at the court, and it would be cool to see what him and Aerys got up to in King's Landing. Then, in 260 AC, the War of the Nine-Penny Kings started, and 11,000 Westermen under the leadership of Tywin's uncle, Sir Jason Lannister, were sent to fight beside the other forces of the Iron Throne in the Stepstones. Tywin, who was already a knight, joined the Lannister force, as did his brothers Kevan and Tygert as squires. Prince Aerys Targaryen served as a squire during the war, and when he won his knighthood, Tywin was granted the honor of knighting his friend. In the books, this was the life of Tywin Lannister before A Game of Thrones. Following the death of King Jaehaerys II in 262 AC, Aerys appointed his friend, Tywin Lannister, as the youngest hand in history. Tywin's administrative genius fueled a decade of prosperity. He liquidated royal debts to the Iron Bank using Lannister gold. In 263 AC, Tywin wed his cousin Joanna, a rare occasion that reportedly made him smile. However, tension brewed early when King Aerys allegedly behaved inappropriately to Joanna during the bedding ceremony. Consequently, Queen Rhaella dismissed Joanna from court, and she retired to Castle Rock, where she birthed twins, Cersei and Jaime, in 266 AC. When Tytos Lannister died of a heart failure in 267 AC, Tywin became Lord of Castle Rock. He immediately asserted his authority by forcing his father's mistress into a public walk of atonement. Though the Hand and King ruled from the Rock that year, their return to the capital in 268 AC marked a shift. Aerys began systematically undermining Tywin's authority. After Aerys publicly insulted Joanna in 272 AC, Tywin attempted to resign, but the king refused. Tragedy struck in 273 AC when Joanna died giving birth to Tyrion. Devastated, Tywin never remarried. As rumors spread that Tywin truly ruled the realm, Aerys grew paranoid, even ripping out the tongue of Ilyn Payne for voicing such a sentiment. The rift widened during the 276 AC Lannisport tourney, where the crowds cheered louder for Tywin than the king. Aerys further slighted his hand by refusing a betrothal between Rhaegar and Cersei, viewing the Lannisters as mere servants. In 277 AC, the Defiance of Duskendale occurred. Despite Tywin's warnings, Aerys was captured by House Darkland. Tywin prepared to storm the city, indifferent to the king's safety, until Barristan Selmy executed a daring rescue. Post-captivity, a delusional Aerys became convinced Tywin wanted him dead to facilitate a Rhaegar-Cersei alliance. The final break came in 281 AC, when Tywin intended for Jaime to marry Lysa Tully, but Aerys instead named the 15-year-old to the Kingsguard. This move stripped Tywin of his heir and turned Jaime into a royal hostage. Claiming illness, Tywin resigned his office and retreated to Castle Rock, pointedly boycotting the tourney at Harrenhal later that year. In the books, everyone knew that Tywin was the secret architect of the Red Wedding and not Walder Frey. Jaime tells Brendan, "If you will not yield the castle, I must storm it. Hundreds will die. Hundreds of mine, thousands of yours. Your garrison will perish to a man." I know that song. Do you sing it to the tune of The Rains of Castamere? My men would sooner die upon their feet fighting than on their knees beneath the headsman's axe. This is not going well. This defiance serves no purpose, sir. The war is done, and your young wolf is dead. Murdered in breach of all the sacred laws of hospitality. Frey's work, not mine. Call it what you will, it stinks of Tywin Lannister. Jaime could not deny that. My father is dead as well. May the Father judge him justly. Now, there's an awful prospect. In the books, this is the history of Tywin and Aerys explained. After being invited to court under King Egg, Tywin and Aerys were once inseparable, having served as pages together and fought side by side in the War of the Ninepenny Kings. Then, when Aerys became king and named Tywin his hand, Tywin's efficiency and competence began to eclipse the king. Sadly, paranoia took root as Aerys realized the realm believed Tywin was the true ruler. Next, personal resentment peaked over Aerys' attraction to Tywin's wife, Joanna Lannister. Aerys' inappropriate comments and behavior during their wedding and later tourneys deeply insulted the proud Tywin. But Tywin stomached this because his ultimate goal was to marry his daughter Cersei to Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. This would have cemented Lannister power for generations. But then, at the tourney of Lannisport 276 AC, Tywin officially proposed the match. Aerys cruelly rejected it, stating that Tywin was his servant, and that a king does not marry his heir to the daughter of a servant. Instead of Cersei, Aerys chose Elia Martell for Rhaegar. This was a calculated insult that Tywin never forgave, and marks the moment the Lannisters effectively became enemies of the crown in spirit, if not yet in name. After being imprisoned and traumatized during the defiance of Duskendale, Aerys' paranoia became absolute. He began to see Tywin as a rival who wanted him dead so Rhaegar could take the throne. Therefore, Aerys appointed Jaime Lannister to the Kingsguard. While seemingly an honor, it was actually a move to rob Tywin of his heir and keep Jaime as a hostage to ensure Tywin's loyalty. This was the final straw that led Tywin to resign his hand and return to Castle Rock. This also explains Tywin's absence from the tourney at Harrenhal while Rhaegar was trying to forge alliances to replace his father. He was already missing the support of the wealthiest and most powerful lord in the realm because Aerys had Jaime in his clutches. Then, after the Battle of the Trident, Tywin decided to make his move to rescue Jaime and kill Aerys once and for all, because if Jaime hadn't done it, Tywin surely would have, which is a tragedy because the two of them were friends at the very start. Anyway, subscribe for more.